Okay, this is John Black, Super Chemist. We're on Trump's assassination, part 2. If you look in my playlist, that's what it'll be called, Trump's assassination. I seriously forget where we were left at. He had the rangefinder. Okay, so why is this kid, I mean, is he mentally retarded? Even a mentally retarded person knows if you're going to assassinate someone, you don't walk around for 2 hours, right, with a big sign saying, hey, I'm going to assassinate, because that's basically what he did. If you walk around with a rangefinder or a rifle, okay, those are the two things. If you walk around when there's a rally with a political president, you know what I mean, that means you're carrying a big sign saying, I'm going to assassinate the president. So why did he carry a sign around saying, I'm going to assassinate the president? Okay, no, he didn't have an actual sign. He had the rangefinder that he could have easily put in his backpack. He wasn't using it, right? He wasn't using it. Why did he carry it around for 2 hours to show everyone, hey, everyone, it's only been an hour and a half. I should walk around for another half hour just to make sure that every single person in this rally knows that I have a rangefinder and that I'm going to kill the president here soon. Okay? You know, that makes sense. Why did he do that? That makes no sense to carry a sign around for 2 hours before the assassination saying, I'm going to do an assassination in 2 hours. That's basically what he did by carrying a rangefinder for 2 hours inside the rally, outside the rally, all over the place. And he had to make sure that everybody's seen that he has a rangefinder. Look, everybody, I got a rangefinder. Looky. So 2 hours. He goes inside. He goes inside the you got to circle around where the president's going to be, right? And all the rally people, or most of them, right? That's called your primary zone. Okay, your primary zone meaning for the Secret Service. The primary zone would be where the president's at, where you want them most of your security. You're going to have to walk through metal detectors to get into the primary zone. They're going to make sure you don't have guns. They're going to check your purses and your backpacks or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like going into a courthouse. Okay, so an rangefinder is not illegal, so you can take it in, but it's still a sign. You can also take in a sign saying, I'm going to assassinate the president. Yeah. But for 2 hours, and then an hour, he's inside the primary zone, walking around showing everyone, hey, look, everyone, I have a rangefinder that I could easily have put in my backpack. But you wouldn't be able to see it in my backpack, so I had to put it in my hand so you can all see it. Okay? Then 30 minutes before the assassination, he's outside he went inside primary zone. Now he's outside the primary zone. He's in the secondary zone, right? That's where the bell tower is. We're going to call the building, I think the building that the shooter was on was a glass building. We're going to call it the bell tower, though. Okay. Now, why am I going to call it the bell tower? Well, if you're old like me, you know why. Because every black and white movie that got the sniper or the assassin is always in a bell tower. It's like, I don't know. And they even make fun of it in the 80s and 90s. Sometimes they'll have a comedy and they'll put them in a bell tower just as a throwback to, like of the black and white movies, where every assassin was in a bell tower. You know what I mean? Every nut job that's shooting, just, not even shooting at a political person, just shooting people randomly. They're always in a bell tower. Not always, but so many times that it's whatever. So we're going to call the building that the shooter was on, where he shot the president, we're going to call that the bell tower, okay? So we have to call it something. So 30 minutes before he even got onto the bell tower, right? Or 30 minutes before 30 minutes before Trump started talking, he climbed up onto the building, right? He used a ladder in the back so no one could see him. And there was an indention in the building, you know what I mean? The building goes over, and then it goes down, it there's indented, and then goes back over. So that indentation was like 10 feet indented. You know what I mean? So if you go 10 feet in, you'd have to literally, there's only a line straight out of that building. Anywhere else, if you were over here, you couldn't see that indentation. You couldn't see the ladder. You can only see the ladder if you were right here because the line is a sight. You know what I mean? Because it's so far, because the indentation was like 10 feet in, that if you moved over either way, you wouldn't be able to see it. You know what I mean? You would be here, you'd see like this, you know? You wouldn't see down to here. You'd only see down to there if you were straight. So it's impossible to see the ladder or him climbing up the ladder. All right. So he climbs up the ladder 30 minutes before the assassination. And there's a bunch of videos too, man. It's not even like just 1, 2 videos. It's just like 20 videos. You'll see 10, 20 people. There's a guy up on the roof. There's a guy up on the roof. They're running to the cops. There's a guy up on the roof. The cops are looking. Cops were looking, acting like they're, you know, if I was a cop and someone said, hey, there's a guy on the roof, and what's funny is you have videos, the cops of the shooter, they can see on the video, and the cop is standing right there looking at the guy, so the camera can see the shooter. Obviously, the cop can also see the shooter. If I was a cop, I would have ran. The building was only like a story and a half, and someplace you could have ran up, grabbed onto the roof, jumped up on, you know, swing yourself up on it easily, and been on that roof like a cat. You know what I mean? And jumped on that guy, started shooting him. Even if he would have just taken his gun out right then and there, when he saw that he had a gun, you know, the shooter, he's on a rifle and he's on a rooftop. And obviously he's an assassin. You know what I mean? At that point, you can take your gun out and shoot him. Okay, you don't have to wait for him to start shooting everyone. Or he could have just shot into the ground. He could have shot in the air. So anyways, one of the cops, for 30 minutes though, this is going on, where people are screaming, hey, there's a shooter, there's a guy up on the roof, for 30 freaking minutes? Are you kidding me? Okay. So finally, one of the cops like minutes before 30 minutes later, okay, after being told, finally, a cop goes over it and climbs up onto the roof and pulls himself up. And he sees the shooter, and the shooter turns and points his gun on him. And I guess the cop, you know, obviously he's going to go back down, right? He fell or whatever, or jumped down or whatever he did. And then that's when the shooter starts taking his shots, because he realizes at this point he's got to do it now or never. You know what I mean? But what, the cop had enough time to fall and whatever. He could have got his gun out and just shot a couple rounds into the ground, shot around into the air, whatever, just to so that the noise would make everyone jump onto Trump. You know what I mean? But no, he didn't do that. Nobody did nothing like that. Okay. So if all this isn't crazy enough, all right. Now I'm thinking. Okay, let's go into the perimeter. Remember, you got a primary perimeter, which is the area where everyone has to go through metal detectors, and where the stage is for Trump, and the main most of the rally attendants are that are watching are in there. And you got it all filled up. Now you got people spilled out on the second security. This is the primary zone. Then you go out more. Now you got your secondary zone. Then you have a third zone, and then everything else after that is just earth. It's not part of any zones. So in the secondary zone, right, that bell tower was only like 50 feet. I'm saying 50. It's probably like 100 feet. Let's say 50 feet, 50 to 100 feet. So what? It's the same thing. Outside of the primary zone, okay? Now keep in mind, this is in Butler County in Pennsylvania, okay? I'm from that area, okay? I'm very close to Bethel Park. I'm not as close to where the rally was at. But Bethel Park is literally, I could throw a rock to there. You know what I mean? Butler County is basically farmland. I mean, it is literally, like I live in the boondocks, okay? I live in the, way past the suburbs, you know what I mean? And there's still roads and there's still buildings and, all around here, you know what I mean? You go to Butler, no. There's not buildings, there's no nothing. I mean, it is like, most of it is just farmland or just empty space or woods, you know what I mean? There's no buildings, okay? There was 3 buildings that were near Trump's rally. 2 of them were and each one of these buildings were actually a group of buildings. Each building was actually 3 different buildings that were really close to each other. They're probably owned by the same business, you know what I mean? And then they had another, but there's 3 of them. One was behind the president. One was to the right of the president. Those were both put into the primary zone. Now, there's only one other building, the bell tower, right? And it's in front of Trump, all right? It's in front of Trump, and it's 50 feet. All they had to do, so I'm thinking all they did was they drew a circle, and they made sure the circle did not encompass that one building, the bell tower. Why would you do that? There's no other buildings close by. You got another 500 feet or whatever. Yeah, now you start getting more buildings. Not even a lot, though. It's not even like a city yet. And then you got another more hundreds of feet. Then you probably get into some city or whatever. But my whole thing is, you have an entire, miles of empty land, just grass, that looks like you cut with your lawnmower, you know what I mean? It's just all grass. And there's no buildings except one bell tower, okay? One bell tower. Why would you not include it into the primary? Why would you take the primary zone all the way up right to, like inches from the bell tower, and then say, no, let's not include this one building? I can say if there's 1 million buildings around, yeah, you got to have your line somewhere. You know what I mean? If there's 100 million buildings, there's always going to be a building right, inches after the primary zone. But in this case, there were 0 buildings. There were 0 buildings, okay? None. You're basically on the moon, okay? And you have your primary zone. There's nothing outside the primary zone except for one bell tower on the entire moon. And you're like, nah, let's not include that bell tower into our primary zone. Let's just put it in the secondary zone. Is that... No, that's not a mistake. Okay, that's not a mistake. You don't make a mistake. That's intentional. When you put inches, it was like 50 feet. You're talking about inches here. All you had to do, and there's no other buildings. You just, But then I find out this, okay? I'm going to show you this one. Okay. That's what I thought it was like. This was this circle right here is the primary zone. This dot in the middle is Trump. Behind Trump is the 3 buildings, with the snipers. And then you got more snipers over here. And then here's the bell tower. Okay, that's what I thought they did. I thought they made a circle and they just, no. To make it even more obvious, what they did, and I'm not sure about it, this Pac-Man right here, see this Pac-Man? That's the primary zone. And Trump would be inside here and his, snipers would be in here. And then that dot right there, that's the bell tower. That's the bell tower. So they made the primary zone big enough to include the bell tower, but because it did include the bell tower, they made it into a Pac-Man perimeter. No, even a child can tell you, you're not going to make a Pac-Man perimeter. You're going to make a circle, right? You're not going to, just look at this indentation. This indentation almost basically goes into where Trump is at, man. And it got a bell tower in it. And it has a bell tower in it. And it's the only bell tower within, many football fields away. That's unreal. Okay, but either way, whether it was... Oh, all right, well, that 15 minutes actually went really fast. I see you on the next one.